Hold on. Am I back now? Am I good? Either way, Michael says, I love the trash talking, but Jim Harbaugh is still a D-bag. How do we really think Michigan is following all the rules? I think Michigan is following rules more so than Ohio State. But, we'll just see what happens with it, right? We got a ton of guys coming in the chat here, and I don't know.
I have no idea how you know that because you were just frozen again for the last, minute and a half.
Because everything is still popping across. I don't know. I mean, I was frozen, but the stuff wasn't frozen. So, either way, boy, you were talking about some technical difficulties today. I don't know what the hell's going on.
It's not me. I just did a speed test. I'm downloading at 128, uploading at 126.
Well, yeah, apparently I'm good to go now. I don't know.
That's good.
I don't know.
Anyway.
Here, let me jump into this chat right quick.
The fact that Ohio State still gets their rocks off by beating up on Michigan, and I have Ohio State friends that I follow, and they post this shit all year long, all off season, about how bad we're going to beat this team, how bad how do you have hatred for somebody like that you just beat the hell out of? I don't understand. Like, mentally, I can't get that. I have hatred for Alabama. I have disgust and loathing for them, but that is a real competitive game. All right. Even when Alabama will go 9 years beating LSU, there aren't 9 blowout years. All right.
Those you're
are
right.
Hardcore competitive games, and they matter to the nation. All right. LSU's biggest rival is Ole Miss. Okay. I can't get any hatred or vitriol for Ole Miss. And Ole Miss has actually beaten up on LSU a couple of years in the last decade. All right. It still doesn't matter because it's a Super Bowl for them and it's a bad game for us. And that year, if we lose to Ole Miss, it cost us nothing because we weren't playing for the SEC at that point in time. We had already lost a couple of games.
I'll tell you this. It is what makes college football completely different from basically every other sport. It's always been regionalized. Now, we have turned it more so over the past 5 to 10 years into more of a national game, but it has been a regional thing for a long, long time. So those rivalries between Alabama and Tennessee and Ole Miss and who at Vanderbilt or whatever the hell, right? All of those things where LSU has beaten the crap out of Ole Miss forever, like that game still matters to people from Ole Miss and LSU, especially the old school diehards that have been through it the whole time, right? It's just something that you learn coming up, and that's why it matters. So that's why it matters for college football fans. Now, I don't know why it matters for Justin Fields, but I get it for actual true blue fans. Like, that stuff makes sense. Let me jump into the chat.
Michigan wasn't a threat to Ole Miss, Justin Fields, most of his life.
Yeah.
Most of the time that he's been alive, if he grew up a Buckeye fan, but he didn't. Because if he grew up a Buckeye fan, he would have went to Ohio State instead of Georgia.
Yeah, no, he went to Ohio State because it was the best opportunity that was open.
If he'd been at Ohio State for the last 3 years, I'd believe all this because I think in 3 years, even if you picked a random college for whatever reason, you can grow hatred. You can grow. So you can't grow that in a year, and the one time you played them, you beat the hell out of them.
Agreed.
What do they have? I just don't know that I can have hatred for somebody who I don't see as a threat.
Now, that's the thing. Now, Ryan Day can be mad at Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh has always been a Michigan guy. Right? Always. So I can understand him hating Ohio State. I don't really get it from Ryan Day back. I mean, Ryan Day was at, New Hampshire? Or what? I mean.
Yeah, like, did you just all of a sudden learn, this is what my boosters want to hear. They want to hear that we beat the hell out of Michigan. And I understand that there's that kind of stuff that happens in college football. It's different in real sports and professional sports because you don't have the haves and the have-nots. Okay?
Yeah.
There is a line of the Celtics don't have a long-time hatred for the Hawks because they beat the hell out of the Hawks. Okay? They have a hatred with the Lakers because they played in championship series for years and years. The Red Sox and the Yankees have hated each other for a long time because when they play, it matters to the pennant. Like, those games actually matter. The Cubs and the Cardinals hate each other. When one wins and one loses, it actually matters to the pennant. Yeah. This doesn't matter to anything because Michigan hasn't been in that conversation for a while.
Yeah, now you can understand Michigan hating them, but you
yes, I understand the little brother hating him. I just can't. I get why Ole Miss hates LSU. I fully understand that. Getting bullied by somebody sucks, but being the bully, I just don't understand that. I do not think of Ole Miss as a threat at all. I want good things for them. If I had hatred for them, I wouldn't want good things for them. I cheer for them 90% of the time. I think it's fun down in Oxford. I have a good time. But that's because I don't see them as a threat. And so I can see the beauty and the positive of it. I just don't understand. You know, I see the same thing about Tennessee. We say that. I grew up, I hated Tennessee because in the 90s they were a bully. I don't feel bad for them now. I mean, I don't fear them now, so I can't hate them. I can't be afraid of something that A, I'm smarter than, or B, that I'm better than. Okay? I just can't hate something that I'm better than and I'm smarter than. It just doesn't work in my ecosystem, and that's it.
Let me dive
That's why
into the
I think this is pathetic on Ryan Day's part and Ohio State's part. And Michigan, you know, no one likes to be the tattletale. I think it's always kind of weird that we always shit on the tattletale guy. But at the same time, everybody in the conference is like, yeah, fuck them. They're already better than us, and they're cheating and breaking rules, and they're going to get away with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean,
if we catch Purdue doing this, does anybody care?
Doubtful.
Okay.
But this was Ohio State hired away, you know, Wilson, the linebackers coach.
Yeah.
Or Washington, the linebackers coach from Michigan last year. And now he's got them on the field before they're supposed to be on the field, all that kind of mess, right? Here's the chat. Michael said, I love the trash talking, but Jim Harbaugh is still a D-bag. Do we really think Michigan is following all the rules? I don't think that they are, like, if you're competitive, then no. Obviously, you're looking for workarounds. But do I think that some teams that are more upper echelon break more rules than others? Absolutely. Or find better workarounds. I mean, that's what makes them better, right? Like, you don't think I'm crazy for that, right?
No, I don't at all. But at the same time, I don't know that those teams get to brag about it and tell other teams to stay out of their business.
Yeah.
Like, you don't get to beat the hell out of people and then tell other teams, don't bother us that we're cheating and breaking rules.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't work. But because people hate Harbaugh, this is the world that we live in. Because he's seen as the douchebag, nobody wants to hear from him. We just got a text in our group text that just came up on my phone. It's like, Harbaugh being a catty bitch again. Like, come on. Like, you're from Northwestern. Why do you want to see Ohio State get stronger and better and have an advantage that nobody else is getting?
Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with this at all. Like, maybe he should have brought it up somewhere other than the Big Ten conference call.
Oh no! Hang on. How many coaches would have went to the NCAA or went to the conference commissioner and try to keep it on the down low and not let anybody know? No. How about the stones of Harbaugh to call him out right to his face on the phone, right there on the conference call in front of the commissioner, every other coach, called him out on it straight up. See, that takes balls to me.
Yeah, no, you're right.
What Phil Fulmer did to Alabama years ago, everybody thought Phil reported Tennessee, but we don't know. We just assume he did, right? And therefore, that's a catty way out of something. That's a coward's way. You gonna call somebody on the garbage? Call them on the garbage.
Yeah, agreed. Matt jumps in. He said it's like fair weather fans jumping from team to team. He said it always matters. Tennessee will have a streak again one day in the future, and they will hold it over Alabama. Joseph Gomez said, you find the bully in high school and laugh at him now because you won at life. Terry said, what's up? I can't get YouTube to work. Well, nobody could get anything to work for a minute. Michael said, it's a rivalry in the eyes of the team getting their ass beat. Colorado still sees Nebraska as a rival, and Nebraska could care less about Colorado. Hey, I guarantee that's changed after Colorado beat them the last 2 years.
I was just about to say, Nebraska could care less. Oh, that game doesn't matter to us because that team's now starting to kick their ass.
Yep, you got it. Terry said, read the comments. Gary, Terry said, hey, read the comments. Gary, we're risking our lives to watch this show. Joseph said, you find the bully. He already said that again. Huey said, if there isn't hatred, no one will watch. And then Terry said, everybody lives off haterade now. Huey said, Idaho playing Boise State has been so one-sided for years that it's no longer a rivalry. Rivals will rise again and win and hold that win over the other team. And Terry said it's actually only a rivalry when each side wins one. Wins one that they shouldn't every now and then. Yeah. Let's see.
I work in a world of decades. Okay, if I have to go back more than 10 years, None of those stats matter. They just don't matter.
Yeah.
Okay. 10 years ago, Justin Fields was 8 years old. All right.
Terry said Tennessee beats LSU this year.
Okay.
I mean, they'd have to get on the schedule first, right?
I was about to say, I don't know that we're going to play them, but.
Hey, there you go. Purdue needs the boost to win, Huey said. Have you been to West Lafayette? It's in the middle of cornfields.
No, but that's the thing that I find laughable is that other fan bases will take this moment to take the shot at Harbaugh because he's always the guy that's always stirring stuff up.
Yeah.
All right. When really they should take the opportunity to take the shot at the big boy. Okay. But here's the problem. Those same fans remember Michigan as being that bully years ago. I just don't understand how you can hold on to something that long. They kind of, I just don't get it. I don't have hatred for Notre Dame because of what they did in the 90s. I don't have hatred for Michigan for what they did in the 90s. I just don't. I don't care.
Terry said Chris Dunn went on a tangent, and Matt MS69 on Twitch said Ohio State could plausibly put up 100 points. They almost did that 2 years ago. And Brown Yeti jumps in. He said, "What's up? What's up, Brown Yeti? Good to see you in here." Let's dive off of that one. Let's jump into. I guess this lets you know that we are ever so close to a college football season, and that would be the Amway Coaches Poll came out, and I'm excited about it. I mean, it's a preseason Coaches Poll. It's whatever. Joseph said the LSU red shirts could beat Tennessee. So let's dive into the preseason top 25. I'm going to go through the whole thing. I'm going to do it, 10 and then 11 through 20, and then we'll do the last 5. Clemson, Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia, and LSU are your top 5 here. Not surprising there. Oklahoma at 6, Penn State 7, Florida 8, Oregon 9, and Notre Dame 10. You see anything surprising in the top 10 here?
No, just big boy schools.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all we got here. Michael said, by the way, I'm all for exposing Ohio State. I think they cheat their ass off, but Harbaugh better not throw rocks in a glass house. It seems like after someone snitches, something comes out about them. Yeah, and then Huey said Tennessee has won the last 10 preseason national championships. Yeah, Tennessee's always got a lot of hype. Number 11 is Auburn, and then we've got Wisconsin, Texas A&M, Texas, Michigan, Oklahoma State, USC, Minnesota, North Carolina, and Utah. I think North Carolina might be a little high here, but you won't be able to tell it based on their schedule. I think they got a really favorable ACC schedule. We'll talk about that on our preview over on sbrpicks.com next week. Utah lost their entire defensive line and a ton of their production.
No one cares about these things, Gary. Steve Spurrier famously didn't even fill this stuff out. Like he had some grad assistant fill his out.
I mean, it's all SIDs at this point. So
yeah, and nobody knows anything about any of these teams. Okay, we haven't watched spring games. We haven't watched, and no one knows anything.
That's something we can definitely talk about. Is nobody has any idea right now because we don't know who's still opting out.
This doesn't matter.
Like Minnesota at 18, Rashad Bateman's gone. So what does that mean? I'm gonna
bet 80% of the people that fill this out don't know that because no one cares.
Matt MS69 on Twitch said, I think Oregon should be higher. Joseph said Penn State might be very overrated, especially losing Micah Parsons. Matt MS69 said, damn it, Chris, just play the game. The Brown Yeti said, Oklahoma State's a little low to me. Terry said, just wait to see what Tennessee does next year. LOL, love hearing that from their fans. It's so funny. Yeah, here, let me get through the rest of it. UCF, Cincinnati, Iowa, Virginia Tech, and Iowa State. The only 2 Group of 5 teams in this list were UCF and Cincy. Okay, I don't know. Tennessee is the other receiving vote. Behind them is Boise State, Arizona State, Kentucky, and Memphis. So, interesting. We'll see what the AP does when they decide to release theirs. Terry said,
won't be worth a damn either.
Terry said, with everyone LSU lost, how are they in the top 10? They lost a lot of big-time talent. Well, because they've established a culture there, and they've always got talent.
I'm about to say, got a lot of talent there to place those guys.
Yeah. I mean, you see the same thing with Clemson, Ohio State, Alabama, and Georgia, and whoever else every single year.
They're just not used to seeing LSU do that.
Yeah. Well, it's because Coach O's only been there
for 3 years. And it hadn't been done yet, by the way. So,
let's see. Matt MS69 says AP polls should not exist until after week 4.
Come on.
Well,
come on.
Maybe not AP polls because that's media guys. Like, they got to have something to talk about. So
nobody should do a poll until October.
At least until everybody's played like 4 weeks. Now,
Yes.
this year's week 4
and
is
I'm
going
not
to be
talking.
weird.
If you've got 3 high school teams on there and a couple of penitentiary teams, then I don't care about that either. I want 4 or 5 real football games.
Yeah, I'd be good with that. And that's what the CFP does. I mean, their rankings are the last 4 weeks of the year, or last 5 weeks, whatever it is. Let's move on. Let's talk about Mike Locksley. Mike Locksley, the current Maryland coach, has started the National Coalition of Minority Football Coaches. It says the group will help identify and groom minority college and professional coaches, as well as develop a list of candidates that should be considered for future job openings. There are 14 black head coaches in FBS out of 130 jobs. There are 3 black head coaches in the NFL. He said, when I took the Maryland job last year and looked at the landscape of college football, I thought to myself, there is something missing. I'm on the back 9 of my career, and the pathway to becoming a head coach is still as difficult as when I got into the business in 1992. He said, I wanted to create an organization that would be able to help prepare, promote, and produce the next group of coaches coming up through the ranks at every level. There's an 11-person board of directors that is going to be charged with vetting and maintaining a qualified list of candidates. And the board of directors includes Ozzie Newsome, who is a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, College Football Hall of Fame. He was the first ever black general manager in the NFL. Of course, he was the former GM of the Ravens. It's got Nick Saban on there. It's got Bill Polian, who's the former GM of the Bills, the Panthers, and the Colts. Mike Tomlin, current Steelers coach. Doug Williams, former Washington quarterback and a Super Bowl MVP. And then you got a bunch of other guys, right? The Dolphins general manager, Chris Greer. Willie Jeffries, who's a College Football Hall of Fame coach, first black coach in Division I history. South Carolina State's coach, Oliver Pugh. Rick Smith, the former Texans general manager, and several other people, right? So that list of people is fine, but Chris and I, when we were discussing earlier, it's a little weird to have active coaches on this list, right?
Yeah.
Or even active
I just
GM.
don't understand how Nick Saban is supposed to be grooming black coaches for head coaching jobs when it's his responsibility to put together the best staff he can put together.
Yeah, for his own program.
For his own program.
And same could be said for Chris Greer, the Dolphins general manager, Mike Tomlin.
See, now, like GMs and stuff, that's decision makers, okay?
Agreed. But it's decision makers that are active, that can help hire for their own team. So, and Saban, of course, he's a decision maker because Saban's basically the GM of Alabama's program. Tomlin, kind of the same thing. He can hire and fire coaches. I think it's a little strange to have, one of the others, Desiree Reed-Francois, is UNLV's athletic director, was the first Hispanic athletic director for an FBS school. Well, she's the current athletic director. So she can hire and fire as well. So
the way to fix this problem is we have to be able to get these guys better coordinator jobs, because that's where the head coaching jobs pull from. Okay. Rarely are you finding a head coach come from a position coach. Rarely. And when they do get those jobs, they are usually really bad jobs. Okay.
Yeah. Terry said
Ole Miss hired an interim coach from the offensive line when they got rid of Hugh Freeze, and they wanted an Ole Miss man, and he was pretty much the placeholder while they went through their NCAA penalties. And then once the penalties were up, he's out, Every now and then you find a team just in desperate need of somebody cheap, and they'll go get a positions coach guy. But the way this is fixed is we have to get more black coaches at coordinator positions. And so I literally just listened to this today, our guys at Westlot break down the whole Big Ten, and they just did their Purdue breakdown. And Purdue, I don't mean to like randomly crap on this guy, but Bob Diaco is their defensive coordinator that they just hired. Okay. All right. Bob Diaco was a great DC at Notre Dame, where it was loaded with talent. Then he was a complete whiff and bust at Cincinnati or at UConn for 2 years
as a head coach. Yeah.
And then a complete waste of space at Nebraska, a complete waste of space at Oklahoma. Then he went to Louisiana Tech free. Like all these are 1-year jobs, and then he gets fired, and he gets fired, and he gets fired because they're just not. Or he moves on to another job because he's not good at the job he's at. And Purdue hired him. Now I'm not necessarily just crapping on this guy, but there had to be a black defensive coordinator somewhere out there that's got a better resume than this. And if you're pointing to 7 years ago at Notre Dame, he was really good, and maybe he can turn the Purdue Boilermakers into something special like he did at Notre Dame 7 years ago, man, I think that's a bridge too far. So at some point in time, I don't know how he got interviewed. I don't know his connection to Brom. I really like Purdue, not crapping on that program. But this is the issue, is failed white coaches keep getting jobs over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And black coaches usually get 1 or 2 chances, and then they never get another shot, and they just go back to position coaches, and that's it. We gotta give them the same runway that we would give anybody else, and they got to get the opportunities at DCs and OCs because that's where the head coaching jobs are coming from.
Well, a lot of this is basically they have to be able to infiltrate the quote unquote good old boy network. Right?
Yep.
Which is what all of this stems down to is these people hire people that they are comfortable with, and they don't go – and, the Brown Yeti jumps in and said a lot of it is who you know. That's 100% what it is. Joseph Gomez jumps in. He said Raiders defensive end Max Crosby, Jets wide receiver never mind, Josh Dotson, Bills cornerback Trey Davies have all opted out of the season due to COVID. We'll get into that once we get a full finalized list. Terry said, shouldn't the GMs already have this list for when they need coaches? And then the Brown Yeti said, maybe Nick is done after this year. Maybe. I mean, if he wins a national championship, maybe he decides to hang it up, but who knows? But yeah, a lot of this is.
So let me tell you, like the story and the history. This is one of the reasons why I know that I'm gonna catch crap for this. One of the reasons why I'm a big Bill Belichick guy. Okay, Ozzie Newsome was an aging tight end for the Browns when Bill got there. Okay. And Bill realized this guy's loved in Cleveland. Can't kick him off the team, but he can't play no more. And so Bill called him and said, hey, why don't you come help me scout? Why don't you pair up with me and do some GM work, okay? And Bill taught him to be a general manager his entire career in Cleveland. Didn't last too long, but he was there for a couple of years. Made the playoffs a couple of years. When Art Modell decided to move the team to Baltimore, he took one person from Cleveland with him. That was Ozzie.
Yeah.
And that was one of those things where a coach who had the influence, who had the decision-making ability said, I got to take this guy and I got to find a home for him. But because I can't let him on the field anymore, he's going to hurt my football team. But he has too much clout in the locker room. I need him around, and the city loves him. They'll run me out on a rail. And this was young Bill Belichick who realized he still had to appease people before he had all the rings, and now he can do whatever the hell he wants. and so he promoted Ozzie up into the front office, and those guys, Ozzie learned to do that job. And as much as I hated the Ravens during his run, he's a hell of a GM.
Oh, yeah.
He knew how to build a team, and he knew how to build a team on a budget, okay? They didn't have a lot of crazy star players. This guy was an offensive guy, and he realized – defense wins titles. Bill taught me that, you know, and what did he do in Baltimore? He built on the defensive side of the ball. And that's just one of those things where somebody got an opportunity, okay? They learned the job. They weren't an expert in the job when they got the job, but they learned the job. They're capable of learning. Give them the chance.
Well, and see, that's a lot of that is, Bowling Green. We can take Bowling Green, just a G5 school from the MAC, for an example. They hire Scott Loeffler. Scott Loeffler ends up hiring Brian Van Gordon as his defensive coordinator. Neither one of those guys was qualified for those jobs at this point. I mean, it was just completely ridiculous, and yet here we are. And Bowling Green was so incredibly successful under a minority coach, Dino Babers, and they haven't gone back that direction. And you have to assume it's just based on, okay, we're going to go with guys that we know, or is it we're going to go with guys that can't get jobs anywhere else, and we know they're going to stay here.
Now that's another issue with the smaller schools. So when you're looking at those little schools, those guys are looking for things different than the big boy schools. Okay, the Power Five are looking for. I mean, they would most Power Fives. Now every now and then you get your Jeff Broms. Every now and then you get your PJ Flex. that come from your smaller schools, and they've got a new innovative way of doing something, and they come up through the ranks, and then they just impress people. But a lot of Power 5 jobs come from Power 5 OCs and DCs. And that's just where the money's made, and that's where it is. In the NFL, it's the same thing. I'm a big fan of Byron Leftwich. Okay. Love that Bruce Arians hired him. It's one of the reasons I wanted Bruce in Cleveland so bad is I think Byron's going to get the call any day now to be a head coach because the NFL is making this push, and his offenses have been really good learning under Bruce. At some point in time, we also need to worry about, are we taking guys too soon, and are they going to just places where they have no chance of winning? All right.
Yeah.
Steve Wilkes went to Arizona for 1 year. He was a lame duck coach in a complete rebuild and was given no chance to actually rebuild that team. Now, that record's on his resume for the rest of his life. Todd Bowles was given, 2-3 years in New York for the Jets? 3 years,
I believe. Yeah.
And then will he ever get another shot? I don't know. But nobody could have won in the Jets. God of football himself, Bill Belichick, couldn't have won in the Jets.
Well, what you're talking
GM
about
that ran that program was a complete idiot.
What you're talking about is exactly what Mike Locksley was. He was at Maryland as an OC, took the New Mexico job. He went 3-31 or whatever over 3 seasons.
And people hold that resume up and say, look how terrible of a coach he was. Why should we ever give him another chance?
But he was at New Mexico. And that's
I agree.
So he takes an analyst job at Alabama. Nick Saban ends up promoting him all the way up to, he was an on-field coach, and then he was the OC. He had a ridiculous 7.76 yards per play average the year that he was the OC, gets the Maryland job, and no, he wasn't successful last year, but good gracious, he's in the Big Ten East. So they're going to give him time.
Hey, he went down and he beat Texas.
That is true. They're going to give him time to be able to get that thing done. Well, I don't think he beat Texas. Texas was 2 years ago, but yeah. That's the thing.
Well, they beat Texas 2 years in a row.
Well, yeah, but
I think his first year he beat Texas.
No, that was what
was last year's first year.
Last year was his first year. So yeah, because he was 2 years. He was the OC the year that Tua was.
That's right. Yeah. So last year was his first year. Yeah. Okay.
So Terry Brewer jumps in. He said Lane Kiffin is a prime example. Gotta love that empty trophy case. Love that Tosh.0 skit about him. Matt MS69 said it's pretty simple. White people know more white people. Black people know more black people. Most GMs are white. Most owners are white. Damian jumps in. He said, what's up? Good to see you, Damian. Huey said, we all know Ray Lewis shot that guy. I swear to God.
Now, listen, when you want to have a podcast on Ray Lewis, be my guest. Let's talk. I'll do it.
Terry said, get all the coaches together, let the murder hornets loose, and the ones that are left after 30 minutes are now the head coaches. Robert Staggs.
So this was my problem, and this was my fear with Brian Flores. We assumed that the Dolphins were tanking last year. Okay, they dumped all their good players. Let's say Brian Flores and the Dolphins this year don't have a great year. Okay, and then let's say Tua never really gets healthy. They can't figure the quarterback position out. Year 3, they're not good. At some point in time, somebody's going to give his whole resume and say, look how terrible of a coach this guy was. When year 1, you dumped every player he had for assets, and then he doesn't get to pick the assets.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we're going to use that year that they tanked, all right, that they threw in the towel for almost every game, and his players still played hard. He tried to win. He just wasn't given any talent to win, okay?
Yeah.
And,
I'm with you.
And at the end of the day, his record is going to look really bad. And it's not, he didn't draft Tua. He didn't want to tank. Like if those draft assets don't work out, Brian Flores is going to be responsible for it. He's going to be the one to bear the burden of it. And that's it. And the chances of him getting another job are slim.
Yeah. Robert Staggs jumps in on YouTube. He said, have you never met someone you hated just immediately that you didn't need to see them again to hate them? I'm not sure what that has to do with.
I wonder if that's us.
Maybe so. I don't know. Robert, if we look like,
I mean, that could be me. I'm sure a lot of people have that feeling about me. I'm 100% certain of that.
Who knows? I ain't that worried about it. If you hate us now, I mean, just wait till football season. Just wait. Matt said, Bowles got 4 years. Also, the problem with promotions sometimes is you promote someone until they are promoted into incompetence. Yeah, that's entirely possible.
No, I do agree with that philosophy. I see that in business. I saw it when I was in the corporate world, and I had to get out. I just had to get out.
And then he said, I guess all coaches are going to be praying mantises. Talking about the murder hornet stuff. Huey jumps in. He said, suck teams never give a chance to allow a coach's system to take full effect. Yeah, that's 100% true.
Well, that's what's happening in Cleveland. It's not just a coach's system. They change the general manager every year and a half, too. So one guy comes in with a plan. He starts that plan, and then midway through the plan, we fire that guy. Somebody else comes in, throws that whole plan away, new plan. Yeah. And therein lies the problem of even if it doesn't work, you still have to let somebody complete a plan before you can say, oh, I like this new guy's plan better than yours. I'm firing you, and we're going to bring him in. Because there's always going to be somebody out there selling you a new plan.
Everybody that is in a position of leadership has to learn patience.
Patience.
Yes. Terry said, but isn't Cleveland supposed to be good this year? Ha, 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 ha. Michael Fritz said, if someone hates y'all, then there is something wrong with them. We appreciate that.
I'm okay with I get it. I fully get it. I know me.
Yeah, I get it. We love it. We love it. Yeti304 said, what's up, guys? Good to see Yeti in here. Matt MS69 said, I think in the NFL a minimum of 3 years is needed. I think college is 4. I agree with that. And then Joseph Gomez said, yes, the Browns are a perfect example. Yeah, 100%. So getting back to the main point here, this organization, this group that they are creating, that Locksley is creating, is an incredibly good idea, and it should have been started a long time ago. The guys that he has on the board here, fantastic. All incredibly well-credentialed, all people that should be in a position to do something about this. The only question that we've got is it kind of weird having active coaches? Because if that's the case, and you and I have talked about this before, if there is, if you see a short in the market and people don't want to hire these guys for whatever reason, then you will see Mike Locksley and Nick Saban and Mike Tomlin and Chris Greer, et cetera, take advantage of the market inefficiency.
So here's the other thing that you got to worry about too. If you're a minority coach, if you're a black coach or a female coach or whatever trying to get into the game, and this committee doesn't give you a nod, are you blackballed out of it? Or do you just have no chance if for some reason you have been one of the guys to cross Bill Polian in the past or to cross Locksley or to cross Saban? Are you just got no prayer?
Well,
you just got no chance.
The good thing about this group is that this is not the group that makes final decisions. So where we talked about the good old boy network, it still works both ways. So if you are friends with somebody and somebody wants to hire you,
but I'm just saying these guys are here to promote the minorities that are, in their eyes, qualified. But what if you're not qualified in their eyes, but you're qualified?
Yeah, now that could be.
Therein lies the issue of this is just my fear for things like that. I appreciate what they're doing, and I think it's a good thing. I think it's a positive thing. My fear for this is just another network, though.
Yeah, no, you're
if
right.
You're not in this network,
you might be in trouble.
Well, how is it any different than the other network?
No, you've got a very valid point there. Terry jumps in. He said, hell, no wonder we can't find Yetis in the world. They're all on here. How many have we got now? Have we just got 2? We just got 2 in here. Robert Stagg said, no, it has to do with Justin Fields in Michigan. Sorry, wrote while watching the beginning of the show. I don't hate you guys. I'm just a little behind.
No worries.
Well, hang around for football season. You'll find some reason to hate us, I promise. I promise. All right, let's close out the show with this one very quick tidbit of news, and that is Miami Hurricanes defensive lineman Gregory Rousseau, top 10 potential NFL draft pick, was expected to be one of the top defenses in the country at the Hurricanes. He is opting out for the season. He told Manny Diaz today he is opting out of this season. He's going to prepare for the NFL draft. This is maybe the biggest opt-out. I mean, obviously we had Rashad Bateman, we had Micah Parsons. You know, we've had some big times that have opted out. I don't know that any are more important to a team than Rousseau was to Miami.
I don't know. I think Bateman was. I think Parsons was pretty big too.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Rousseau,
I don't know how great that Penn State defense is. I think Parsons hit a lot of flaws. And also, I think Bateman is a big target for that offense.
Oh, no, I agree. Rousseau, 6'7", 265 pounds. He led the ACC with 19.5 tackles for loss. He had 15.5 sacks last year, despite starting only 7 of his 13 games.
He's a monster. Yeah. But I didn't have I guess the difference is I actually had expectations for the other two teams. I didn't have any expectations for Miami. This is a great dude on a bad team.
Yeah. And now here's the thing. Miami had the chance this season with Derek King at quarterback. They had already lost a really important offensive lineman, their most experienced, their best one, their best NFL prospect. He opted out over a month ago.
Yeah, I was about to say he opted out long ago.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a deal. The Brown Yeti said, man, don't you know the best Wi-Fi is at McDonald's? People just aren't looking for us there. That's talking about the Yetis. I love it. Michael Fritsch said, I think players opting out could make this season a little more interesting. Yeah, it's going to make betting lines really interesting. It's
going to make it really well. Eventually, once the opt-outs are done, the lines will stabilize pretty easily. Yeah. I think this is a whole lot of agents getting into players' ears saying, "Hey, yes, you don't need this last year." I mean, how many of us were saying this? I love Jadeveon Clowney. I love him, and I loved watching him play college football. Okay, and I was even in agreement, liking South Carolina and loving what he was doing there. And I was even like, man, why is he playing this year? Why is he doing it? He's going to hurt himself. I mean, that guy, he's going to hurt himself. No one else is going to hurt him. He's going to hurt himself because he's that explosive. He was that strong. He was that big. He was that fast.
Yeah.
That was what, 6 years ago, 5 years ago? I mean,
2013, 2014, somewhere around there.
Yeah, it was a while back. Now, in the world of COVID, and we don't really know how these teams are running things, but you can go train with like 4 guys that are all quarantined in some complex in Arizona that your agent's fitting the bill for the next, 8 months. Who didn't want to do that?
You got
Eat great food, stay in a 5-star hotel. Come on, man.
Yeah, no, you've got a very valid point. Michael said,
I get it. I'll tell you this. I get it. I fully understand if I was a top-tier talent and I wasn't on a team that I thought could compete for a national title, I think I'd walk too.
Well, I mean, if you're, almost guaranteed a first-round draft slot.
Yeah, if you got that kind of grade. Now, you better have that kind of grade.
Yeah.
But if you got that kind of grade, then
otherwise, if
I'll tell you this, you'll be ready for the combine.
Yeah.
Because basically you're going to be studying for the test the whole year, and everybody else is going to study for it for 2 months like they normally do.
But if you got a late second, maybe third or fourth round grade, I mean,
it's a little risky.
Don't play, that could drop you to 5th, 6th, 7th. I mean, maybe even out of the
No.
draft.
I think this is for the elites of the elites that have no reason playing.
Yeah. Michael said it gives other kids opportunities. Maybe other teams could be competitive. Yeah, it's 100% true. Terry
I
said,
completely agree with that. Next man up. Somebody's going to get a chance to play in Miami.
Talking about the McDonald's Wi-Fi, Terry said they won't let us in McDonald's down here right now. That's why we can't find you. Both Yetis
in the parking lot.
That.
I do a lot of work for my McDonald's parking lots because I need Wi-Fi to do some of it.
D jumps in on Periscope. He said, "What's the toughest conference right now?"
The SEC. It's not close.
It's still the SEC. I mean, yeah, you're right. It's really not close at all.
It's not close at all.
I mean, you could try and make a case for the Big Ten, but
no, you can't. There's one juggernaut there. Everybody else, if somebody shot Ohio State in the head and drugged them out to a field, that would be an incredibly fun conference to watch because everybody else down the road until you get to Maryland's, Rutgers, and a couple of those other teams, the separation between 2 and 8 is nothing.
Yeah, it's completely negligible.
I mean, I think it is tight.
Negligible for sure. All right, I think that's going to wrap it up. I hadn't seen anything else break. I'm checking.
The only news that I've gotten
was that
is my damn kids are out of school again next week.
Aren't they out of school for a little while or?
No, they were supposed to start Monday.
Oh, but it's one more week. They just pushed it back.
Jesus Christ.
It's a little bit of a disaster. So my wife's a teacher in
Here's the
Memphis,
problem. I don't have a problem with them being out of school still. My wife, the teacher, can't be made to go back to school. All right? You can't take her and leave the damn kids. I got a job.
Let's see. Michael said SEC top to bottom is the toughest, not even close. Better question, who's the second best conference? Probably Big Ten is second best.
The Big Ten's the second best, but toughest,
toughest is SEC. So it's not even close.
The Big Ten's really, really good. Like the most erratic or sporadic, I think is probably the Big 12.
Oh, agreed. Everybody can beat everybody in that conference.
Unless Lincoln Riley just pulls another Heisman Trophy, first round draft quarterback out of his ass, I think there's going to be some parity in the Big 12 this year.
I think there will be a lot of parity in the Pac-12 as well. Now, it won't be quite what the Big 12 is.
I don't know.
But in the Pac-12,
I think Oregon to separate themselves a little bit.
Maybe, but I mean, we got to see what they do at quarterback. I mean, who knows what they're doing?
Justin Fields wasn't that great. Listen, Justin Fields was really good.
Herbert.
Okay. Right. I think they can replace Fields.
Herbert.
And the reason being is because they are running defensive football. They're building it from the defense, not the offense. And so it doesn't matter so much who the quarterback is.
USC is doing the exact opposite. USC is doing
the exact opposite. They got three guys that can all play quarterback, and they can't stop anybody.
Yep. Well, I think now they've only got the one guy, right? They only got Slovis now because Sears
the other two are gone.
The other two transferred out. So JT Daniels, he's at Georgia. Jack Sears is at Boise State. So, I mean, we'll see. Let's see. The fifth is the best half of the SEC. Let's see. Michael said, be thankful, Chris. I'm homeschooling my 5-year-old. I'm not qualified for that. Ton of field trips. Terry said, starting school Monday in Olive Branch. Joseph said,
no, they're not, Terry. No, they're not. I'm in Olive Branch right now. No, they're not.
Okay. Well, then
I got inside information from somebody standing in that school that I'm married to that says you got to keep the kids for another week.
Well, my daughter doesn't start in Memphis until the 17th anyway, so, is what it is.
Well, you don't have to keep her every day and bring her to work with you.
You got that right. All right, Terry, Huey said my kids are learning how to yeet rocks in the pond. Terry said I figured they'd be learning how to start fires. So that's the way it goes.
Mine are learning the construction business. Well, they learn that daddy cusses a lot when he's not around them.
Probably a better learning experience than going to school sometimes. So,
I'll tell you, the words that they're using right now are fantastic. The teachers are going to send a lot of letters home. And I love that my wife has to work there, so she gets the full embarrassment, and I get nothing but joy.
All right, we're getting out of here.
Get out of here.
There's nothing else to talk about just
Close
yet.
it down.
We might talk PGA tomorrow. I mean, we'll just see what the leaderboard looks like and go from there. But we got primetime golf tonight. That's always fun. And, of course, March Madness with NHL and NBA, et cetera. Zion and the Pelicans got beat again. So, either way, we are rolling. Damien, everybody else that jumped in the chat, all the different Matts, all the Yetis, Terry, everybody else, we appreciate you guys for jumping in and helping drive the conversation. Huey is going to close us out. He said, don't forget how Al Bundy won the 1966 city championship.
I'd never forget it. 4 touchdowns.
Never forget. You got that right. All right, everybody, go to winningcureseverything.com. Make sure you are subscribed at all the proper places. Leave a nice 5-star review on the podcast. And share the show out. Give the video a like. Hit that thumbs up button. You know, the thing that looks like this right here. And make sure you tell everybody you know about it and whatnot. Go over to sbrpicks.com and find all of our latest videos on college football for sportsbookreview.com. We are looking forward to getting some previews done and whatnot, but hopefully we don't have anything too drastic happen between now and the next time we do the show. Until then, everybody take care of yourself. Take care of each other. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for checking out Winning Cures Everything. If you want to keep up with us, hit subscribe on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. Visit the website at winningcureseverything.com, or you can like us on Facebook or follow us at Winning Cures, at Gary WCE, or at Chris B. Giannini on Twitter. Share out the show, leave a nice review, and make